You want to see a Superman? Forget the guy that can fly with the funny tights and the red cape. Forget the guy that can stop bullets and do all that other stuff. I'll show you a Superman in Genesis 39. Men, this is specifically directed toward you. I'm Zach. This is The Average Christian. It's a project about what it means to have a relationship with God and how do I live this out in practical terms. Well, here's one extremely practical because God just made us as men and women differently. And men, we battle with lust, and I have seen so many marriages go up in flames over my lifetime. I'm only 45 years old. And it's not always men. I understand that as well, but I'm going to speak to us directly. And I want to show you a Superman. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to this, but I want to show you it can be done, that you and I have to guard our minds, guard our hearts, as Job would say, guard our eyes and make a covenant with our eyes. But here is Joseph, and most of us know at least some aspect of his life. I always shudder to say story because it's not just a story or a tale. His life started off well and just had a lot of ups and downs. So he was endured a lot of jealousy from his brothers, all to the point of almost being killed and being sold off to the Ishmaelites. And he ends up in Potiphar's house. So when you get to Genesis chapter 39, I want to show you the situation. I just want to use this example to make one or two points here. In chapter 39, in verse 1, now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. Now watch this. The Lord was with Joseph. Things are going well after Potiphar buys him. Things are going very, very well. Usually that's when we make a lot of our mistakes and we let our guard down. But I want you to notice the commitment and read the whole story of Joseph and just see his unwavering commitment to God. So he's a successful man here in verse 2. He was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him. That's how much of an influence he's already had, that he knows that this man is with God, the God of the Hebrews. And that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight, that's Potiphar, and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. So he's got success. He's got God with him. He's now free. He's got power and responsibility. All of these things are going so well for Joseph. From the time he'd made him overseer in verse 5 in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. So he's doing well. Now Potiphar's doing well because of Joseph's presence and his dedication, most importantly, his commitment to the Lord. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. He's got that going for him too. A lot of us don't have that going. Joseph did. He's good looking. He's attractive. He's successful. He's in a position of power. He's now free. Things are going very, very well. It's where a lot of us fall down as men when things are going so well and we find that success. And after a time, his master's wife, Potiphar's wife, cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." No, that is not for a nap. Lie with me. Yeah, he's attractive. He's powerful. Her husband is successful and powerful now because of Joseph's presence. And she's drawn to him and she wants to sleep with him. Now, Joseph is not a married man. Some men feel like, it's not a problem because they're not breaking a vow or a covenant with somebody else. But this is a woman that belongs to, not in the sense of property, belongs to Potiphar. So let's see what his response is, and this is what I mean by a Superman here. But he refused and said to his master's wife. Now I have to assume that any woman that confident to just go up to a man and say, "Sleep with me," is an attractive woman. I would assume that a man in that kind of power is married to an extremely attractive wife, and he had his pick and had his selection. So it's not that this lady's unattractive, because whether we like it or not, whether women understand it or not, we are many times visually motivated. That's probably the best I can put it. But so it's not that she's just unattractive and don't bother because she's this, that, or the other. She's confident enough to say that to him. And he says, he refuses and said to his master's wife, says to the lady, behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house. Look at the responsibility I have. Look at the trust that's been put on me. And he has put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he, so he's basically saying there's nobody greater in this house. He has taken care of me. He's put me in charge. He's entrusted me, nor has he kept back anything from me except you. He's given Joseph, what's mine is yours, basically, except for his wife, of course, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against him? It's not what it says. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? There's his real commitment. There's his real success story. He will not, out of a sense of love and honor, he will not turn his back on God. God has seen him through. And look, God is more than just what he does and how he protects us and how he provides and what he promises. God is worthy, as shown in Job, is worthy to be served based on who he is. So he has a commitment to God, first of all, and honorably has a commitment to Potiphar. He appreciates all that's been done. And by principle, which is what we need, men, principle, I will not do this to Potiphar. More importantly, I will not do this. And that's the question. Notice how he says it again. How then? You explain to me how I can do this great wickedness and sin against God. The fact that this guy can step back in this moment where I'm sure she's making herself readily available to him and just flat out ask him how he can step back and have that voice of reason, thinking correctly, and remember what he is about and not just get lost in that temptation and that desire that quickly like so many have at other times. Even King David, of course, many of us first think of that sin with Bathsheba when we speak of David. But here he steps back and his reason stays with him. And as she spoke to Joseph day after day. So that's another reason why I know she's attractive, because she doesn't give up. Every day, consistently asking him over and over and over. And finally, she gets him into or she waits for the opportune moment. But he would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. But one day, when he went into the house to do his work and none of the men of the house was there in the house, okay, so the opportunity is here. Nobody's around. Nobody's going to know. She caught him by his garment. Lie with me, saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. That's a Superman. That she would grab him and he turns and rips himself away from her and refuses to. Nobody's around. There's no technology like cameras and so forth. Nobody's going to know. She is insistent. It's not going to be a problem. Why not? The fact that he would turn and leave his garment, which is going to cost him dearly because she's going to lie and Joseph's going to get in trouble that he never deserved. But he will not turn his back on God. He will not disrespect God. He will not disrespect Potiphar. And honestly, he will not disrespect her, even though he probably never could explain it to her. So you want to find a Superman? It's those who learn how to deal with these types of desires and these types of opportunities. How many men, and women too, but this is specifically for us as men, how many men have never been looking for a certain scenario or situation, and all of a sudden the opportunity is available, or this lady is available. And then we start to question perhaps, or second guess and so forth. And so here's the opportunity, but he's so firm in his conviction that he will not disrespect anyone and go against God. I hope that we can read this. And I hope, to me, the most dangerous are the ones who say, I'll never do it. It'll never happen to me. I can't tell you, sadly, how many times I've heard people say that in their commitment to God and their commitment to their husband or their wife, and then still find their way into that mistake and make those bad decisions. It can happen to anybody. It can come from nowhere. Everything was going so well for Joseph. He didn't need this problem. And it's going to turn into, as I said, you read on, a much bigger problem. He didn't need this, but he was prepared. And I hope you and I will keep our minds right have a covenant with our eyes, a covenant with God, and a covenant to do what's right, and always appreciate those who put their trust in us. Appreciate the example. Look at this example that still rings forth today so strong. This Superman in Joseph, not that he was, I use that loosely, he was still a human being that sinned and struggled and so forth. But in this case, what a shining example, and I hope it helps you. I want to thank you for being with us today. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to keep up with future releases, you can hit the notification bell. Like the video if it helps you. And over to my side here are some one video that YouTube recommends and our latest release. For those listening on podcasts, we appreciate you being with us. Please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps get the word out. Getting the word out maybe helps other people. And please, if it will, help someone, share this.